Good morning, gang. Happy Sunday morning. Well, depends on what generation you are, if it's happy. Remember the old adage that, parents always wanted to see their kids do better than they did? I think that holds true for most people. It doesn't work out that way all the time, but that always seems to be the goal for parents. And I'm wondering now if it's become not just difficult, but practically impossible. You look at what's gone on here in the past week or so. Moody's, the investment rating agency, cut the U.S. credit rating. Yeah, the entire country. The federal government's credit rating is no longer AAA. That full faith and credit, of the U.S. government, yeah, well, 95% faith and credit in the U.S. government. Okay. This week, we also had the reemergence, if you will, of student loans. After Biden's BS of, we're going to forgive student loans, we're going to saddle the taxpayer with all your debt. Right? Yeah. About 5.5 million people this week saw their credit scores drop anywhere from, say, 75 points to 250 points because not all of them, but the forbearances disappeared. And, now you're delinquent on your loans and you need to pay them back. How are our children going to ever get ahead in life? How are they ever going to buy a house? Hell, for a lot of them, how are they ever going to afford a car? Yeah, I know, we could say the joke of maybe stop dyeing your hair purple and, making 3 trips a day to Starbucks. But in reality, this is a huge problem for the country. And don't think it's not all planned. Because, again, if generations can't afford anything, can't afford to buy, hey, we've got a nice, beautiful little rental here in our 15-minute city you can get. Right? Okay. You go back to the 1950s, the 1960s, the 1970s, and used to be a family, mom, dad, a couple of kids, could live in a nice, small house, nothing huge, okay, no McMansions, on one income. They had a car, all the bills were paid, kids had nice clothes, had some spending money, on one income. Now, a single person, for the most part, can't make it on one income. That's a problem. And the solution is not bringing more H-1Bs or bringing more illegals to compete for jobs, right? The solution is not going to university somewhere and getting a degree in Latin American dance or African American studies or underwater basket weaving. The solution is not taking out 6 figures worth of student loans and then wondering how you're going to pay them back on your Starbucks salary. You go back, and it used to be, even when I was a kid could work over the summer, maybe have a part-time job while he was at school, and save enough money to pay for the year's worth of education. Lather, rinse, and repeat. Next summer, get your summer job, work the summer, save the money. You're living at mom and dad's and eating their food anyway, okay? And you had enough money to pay for school. student loans didn't even exist back then. But then it all changed. And the colleges, the universities, saw this free handout. Oh, the government's going to give them money for them to pay their tuition? Cool. We'll raise the tuitions again and again and again and again. I remember when I got out of the Army. Okay, some of you guys are my age and remember the GI Bill. Okay, what we got. My check for the GI Bill was $700 a month. That was it. Okay. So this was what, 1990? That $700 a month was enough to pay my tuition, pay my books, and pay for some of my housing. And I figure a semester's four months. So $2,800 covered the tuition and books easy. And I had a little bit of extra money. And then, of course, at the time, I was also tending bar at night, to make some extra spending cash, pay my rent, buy more food, make a car payment, that sort of stuff. It was still possible. Now it's gotten to the point of ridiculous. And then these kids get out of school and there is no job. Depending on what their degree is, of course, but like I said, the colleges have now got to the point where they'll accept anybody. Hey, go get your degree in this useless subject. We'll charge you $100,000 for it that the government will pay, so we get paid. And you're saddled with a debt for 40, 50, 60 years because getting out of debt's very difficult when you can't get a job. So we're putting them behind the 8 ball to start. And these are our kids. Again, we want our kids to do better than we did. Will our kids ever own a house? Well, let's see. There was a property that came up for sale here in my neighborhood. Now, mind you, I live in a rural area. It is actually the 3rd poorest county in Tennessee. Okay. And there was a 1-acre property. Granted, it's got lakefront, okay, where they've already done the clearing, taking out the trees. They've done some excavation, so there's a flat area to build a house, and they've put the septic and the well in. Okay. $175,000 for the land. Take out the cost of the well, take out the cost of septic, and let's say that's 40. Still $135,000. Okay. For the land. You still got to build a house. But okay, let's not even look at that. 4 years ago, the acre next door to me, we had 2 acres, I bought another acre, it's now 3. I paid $9,000 for that acre. It was cleared, basically needed to be bush hogged, and that was it, and now it's where one of my gardens is, where my shed is, and where part of the pond is. Okay. $9,000. Okay, 1 acre of land. Good amount. There's a piece of property directly across the street from me that is 1 acre, that is cleared, that is relatively flat. It's basically the exact same as what I bought. It's for sale for $60,000. $960,000. Same kind of land. Okay. No well, no septic, no nothing, just land. There's one up the street from me. 1 acre. It's actually 2 properties over. 1 acre, totally wooded. So if you want to build on it, you've got to clear it. It's on an angle like this. It's the side going into a ravine. $28,000. You can't even build on it. Now, maybe people are a little proud of the property they have. Think, hey, I'm going to get rich off of this. Not that $60,000 is rich, or 28 for sure. But how are our kids, the next generation, going to be able to afford anything? Especially when they've been brought up to have the Starbucks, the new phone every year, the, gee, I've got to drive a fancy car mentality. Part of it's our fault, I will give you that. Generations that we raised are a little entitled. Participation trophies, we bitch about them, but back when we were younger, a lot of people in our generation were all for them. And now they're seeing, oops, that turned out to be a disaster. My kid's an entitled brat. Not all of them, certainly. Okay. I'd hardly say that PBJ is an entitled brat. Hardly say that I ever believed in participation trophies either, but that's beside the point. But what are these kids going to do? They don't want to rent forever. We don't want them to rent forever. That's detrimental to the advancement of the country as a whole. So then it comes down to us. And again, this is going into us wanting our kids to do better than we did. The only option at this point, because in their mid-20s, good luck for most kids being able to afford to buy a house. And I'm not talking about these dreams for their McMansion. I'm talking about the 1,200 square foot Rambler that was built 30 years ago. You know, that. Hell, it gets to a point now where for them to go out and buy a manufactured home, that's too expensive. Because again, then you got to go find the land to put it on. And I mean, that's nuts. I mean, even driving into southern Kentucky here and seeing the prices on manufactured homes starting at $50,000. Shit, you know, okay. For a manufactured home. We'll deliver it to you. So it comes down to us. What are we going to be able to leave our children? And I think about this quite often. You know, all right, I know the house is paid for, so hopefully nothing ever happens and we can keep it till the day we croak and I can leave this to PBJ. Does she want it? I don't know. It depends on where her career takes her. Depends on how old she is. She have kids, married, whatever it would be. But at least it's an asset that'll have some value for her. Because that's the only way our legacy is ever going to continue. You know, none of us want to be sitting up in heaven looking down at our kids, watching them struggle, wondering how to put food on the table, or listening to them saying, I'm never going to have kids because kids are too expensive. We don't want that. I don't think many of us are out there going, gee, you know, if my daughter could only find a millionaire. That comes with a whole separate set of problems, okay? You want your kids to be happy. You don't want them to struggle. You want them to have some struggles, okay? To navigate through life, to learn on their own. But the things that we're doing today, learning new skills, saving money, getting out of debt, growing our own food or raising our own food, those are also things that we need to pass down to our children. The survival skills, the prepping skills, because as much as we all worry about an SHTF event, every minute and every day that goes by gets us closer to one. And we may not be here to experience it. They may have to experience it. We're gone. But we all certainly care that they have the skills, the tools to make it through. We need to teach our kids, no matter how old they are, how to do some of the things we do. There's a lot of skills in life that have been completely lost over the generations. I mean, simple ones, cooking, sewing. I mean, I'm not kidding. Ask a lot of kids how to sew replace a zipper or sew a button on a pair of pants or a shirt. They're like, well, I take it to the cleaners. Yeah, no, that ain't going to be a solution forever. Unless you can throw the food in the microwave, the kid ain't eating. That's a problem. We need to help prepare our children. Do what we can. Hopefully, we'll all leave them something. Financially, real estate, whatever. But even better, to make sure that they have a better life than we did, we need to continue to leave them the tools, the skills to survive. Because a lot of families failed to provide any of them when the kids were young. And now the kids are working at Starbucks. If the kids learned the word no when they were young, if they learned the words ma'am and sir when they were young, maybe they'd get a little bit further. But when they only learned the terms gimme, that puts a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. I want to see PBJ do a hell of a lot better than I did in life, no question. I also want to see her earn it. Not going to be given to her on a silver platter. She knows that, and she's busting her ass to finish up her medical degree. And Dad's very proud. Okay. But she's done this. And she's had to figure out all the bumps in the road on the way. Dad's there to give her a crutch. But Dad's not there saying, oh, let me do that for you. I'll give you the ideas on how. I'll help you, but you're going to do it. Gee, Dad, I've got questions on my taxes. Let me tell you about this. Gee, Dad, my car's making this strange noise. Okay, let me give you the ideas. I'm not saying take it to the mechanic and send me the bill. No. Here's what the deal is. Here's what your options are. How are you going to figure it out? One of these days I'll be gone. Mrs. P will be gone. Our little empire will be hers. Hopefully she's a good steward of it. I'll do my best to make sure it is. But the best legacy I will have is seeing her be able to continue being self-sufficient, not relying on anybody, and certainly not expecting the public to pay her bills. Keep doing what you're doing, because it ain't only for you. It's for everybody that comes after you. And the government's screwing it up. So, like everything else, we got to fix the problem. Pinball out.